if you're wondering what I'm doing for physics this year, in January, Ben has to learn, or is supposed to learn, how to juggle. And we've kept the beanbags in my bedroom this week, my office area, and we've been playing with them. This is what I love about homeschool, is that we can do things like juggle as part of physics. Only in homeschool can you do this. Unless you think this is something that's like an elementary physics. If you're new here, this is actually for my 11th grader from Guest Hollow's Physics, which I have a video I'll link down below. Anyway, welcome back. This is the last monthly update for 2024. I don't know where December went. Like, I know we all say this, right? But we had the added over Thanksgiving break, we went on a cruise, which was a lot of fun. We did a Disney cruise. Jim and I did one for our honeymoon 25 years ago. In fact, he and I are heading on vacation to Disney World here soon to celebrate our 25th. But we had never taken the boys on a cruise, or Elizabeth, so we decided to do one over Thanksgiving, and it was so much fun. But it made December just that much more, not really chaotic. We had a really easy, smooth month, but it felt like we were constantly trying to get back into a routine, and then Christmas break. So we're not supposed to start. I'm taping this on a Monday, the 29th, I think, 30th. We're not supposed to start back until next Monday, but I have a feeling that Thursday or Friday we may actually do a little bit of school. I don't want to say it's a fail, but we did not end up doing any Christmas learning this semester or this month. I don't know. No real reason other than I just didn't get it together. And to me, and this is part of it also, is that I like doing it as a group thing. And with 2 kids in high school, it's harder to make that time for it since we don't have any subjects that they're doing together. What I forgot was that last year we actually did it like during Christmas break, and I should have just planned to do that. So I'm a little sad that we didn't. We have one more year of having 2 kids at home. So next year we'll definitely do something, but not this year. It is what it is, right? If you did something Christmassy this month in your homeschool, I would love to know what it is, and let me know down in the comments. In the last couple of videos, I have shared that we were trying to figure out what to do for Ben's math. We have tried several things this year. He's a junior, and he's completed through Algebra 2. He is probably not college bound, at least not right after high school. So he's really pretty good on math. He needs, I would say, one more credit. But nothing was clicking this year. He's hoping to do statistics next year at dual enrollment, but this year we just needed something. Final answer is that we have decided to do college algebra through Study Hall, which is a partnership between Crash Course and Arizona State University's Universal Learner Program. If you're not familiar with this, it is $25 for the course, college level. And then if you decide that you want to get a transcript of it, it's $400. So it is the $25 is a great way to just introduce college level work to your high school students and let them get some experience with it. And then if you decide you want the credit for it, $400 is pretty reasonable for a 3-credit course at the college level, assuming it will transfer to whatever university you're looking at. So that is in the spring. However, it's a 7-week course, semester in 7 weeks. So it is going to be an intense 7 weeks for him, especially at the end of the semester. So in the meantime, we are continuing with some Khan Academy and Life of Fred, and then we are going to speed up physics, trusty physics, so that he can finish with that before he starts math, and that way he, has one less other course to take. On the topic of his physics, like I said, we're speeding along, juggling. One other thing I want to share, though, is this book that he's just starting for it. It's called The Secret Language of Color. And if you have a kiddo, I would say there's a high school level, probably maybe middle school, depending on how much. There's a lot of pictures, but the content is depending on your kiddo. Anyway, if you have a teen doing chemistry or physics this year, I think this is an absolutely fantastic book. It's called The Secret Language of Color, Science, Nature, History, Culture, Beauty of Red, Orange, Yellow, Green, Blue, and Violet. And what is interesting, so for example, in the red color section, they start with, like, where does the color red come from? Where do you find it naturally in nature, in outer space, etc.? And then they talk about red as in a royal colors, dyes, the rank of red in medieval Europe goes, and then the scarlet letter. It's got Dorothy's shoes. Goes through all kinds of interesting things for each color. But it doesn't have just the colors. It also has sections on the universe. It has a section on plants. There's geography and, like I said, history and science. I think it's just a beautiful book, but also just a really interesting one. And a good reminder of how a good way to spark curiosity in the world. And you guys know that that's something that I find really important. I've been on this real journey of sparking curiosity more and inspiring that with my teens. And I think this is a great book for that because it's so fascinating how something as basic as the color red, how much there is to it. So if you're looking for something that's just a little different, I think this is a fantastic, fantastic choice. And there are enough images in there that if you have a kid who's not a big reader, they're still going to get a lot out of it, even if they don't read every sentence on every page. Okay, so that's math and science. Next up, history. For Matthew, he finished up his history this year. He did 20th century world history with the viewpoint of war and tyranny in the 20th century is the name I'm putting on his transcript. And all about what it sounds like, how war and tyranny defined the 20th century and the impacts from it. And it was a fantastic course. In it, though, there are a couple of courses or a couple of resources that I wanted to mention because I think they were really good. One is the OpenStax high school level world history textbook. We did not do all of it because this was the 20th century. So I think there ended up being 5 chapters that we did. One of the chapters that covered the 20th century focused on World War II, and we did not do that because he's already got an insane knowledge of World War II, and I didn't want to take that much time on it because it's an easy thing to study in 20th century, but there are so many other things to study as well. So I wanted to make sure that we had time for those other things. So that textbook is free. It's a download. We did end up printing out the sections that he did, but you can easily do it on a tablet or computer if that's what you want to do. Each chapter of the book had 3 or 4 sections within it, and there were not questions, like summary questions to go back into the text. Rather, there were like bullet points at the beginning of the text of things that um, like the overarching goals, the objectives, I think that's what they called it. And I had him for each of those choose one of the bullet points and kind of answer that question. And then the book has a test at the end, and it has a wide variety of sections like multiple choice, short answer, long answer, these kind of questions. Application. I was mixed on whether we would do the tests or not, but he really wanted to do them. He felt like that was an important part of being a high school student. Matthew's my 9th grader, if you don't know. So overall, we were very pleased with this course. The other main resource two other main resources I used. One, and I talked about this in a previous update, was a course or a class on OutSchool about the 20th century. It was like a film-based class, and so every week they would do a different movie. And as it turns out, most of the movies had some kind of a war angle on it, so it was a fantastic find. There was a point, maybe about halfway through the class, that he was like, I don't know that I want to continue. Sometimes he felt she was a little bit disorganized, but he stuck it out and said he would absolutely take a class from her again. So, and he's a tough kiddo to have that bar. So I was glad to see that. I will leave the link for the course and the teacher down below. The other thing that we used was OER. I don't know actually what that stands for. There's big history, but we did it the version that's on Khan Academy for world history. We didn't do every section, but Matthew really enjoyed that format of a small section, some questions, a video, some questions. That is not something we've done a lot of, that or textbooks, more formal textbooks. So that was something that was important to him with high school that we do. And it was really good. I had looked at OER the first time was in Indiana, or when we lived there, and that was all the kids. Elizabeth was in elementary school, so a long time ago, and I found it really confusing, and so I never really looked at it again. But in the course of this year, I did pop on there, and we chose some activities. Let me pause. I don't think I made it clear. OER has the same, for some of it, same content on the OER website as Khan Academy. And that's what we were doing. Anyway, the activities, there were some really fun activities. And one that Matthew really liked for it was a Cold War activity. And he got something that was supposed to be like the secret briefing. It was about the Cuban Missile Crisis was the actual thing. But he had to read it and come up with some different scenarios and pretend like he's in the Pentagon and whatever, and then present it. And it was so much fun and something completely different. But it was a reminder to me that sometimes I get stuck in this idea that those kind of activities are what's he really learning? And in some ways, it's true. I don't know how much he really learned from that, but it's not just me. I have to remember that they want to do some of these activities as well. And he's definitely a different kiddo than my other two. My other two, I don't think would have enjoyed that, but he was, and it was fun to see him really take it seriously. And he came in and was all trying to pretend like he's this 1960s Pentagon guy or Defense Department guy. It was just fun. It was a really fun activity. You can do these activities for free. All of their resources are free. But you can do them even if you're not using OER or Khan Academy for history. You can pop in there and find the section for whatever time period you're doing and look for these different kinds of activities. And I think it's just a good reminder that we need to really look at each individual kiddo and think about what they would want. Because this course is not, the topic is not something I would have wanted to do when I was his age. The materials, I'm like, there are so many other cool ways we could do this, but this is what he wanted. And it was a really good course, and it fit him. And after all the years of homeschooling, sometimes I'm always looking for these different ways of doing things, but sometimes I get really stuck in doing things the way I've done them in the past. And this was a good reminder to think beyond and look at the individual kiddo. He did that course as a 1-semester course, which brings me to the next semester. Next semester he is going to do AP Computer Science. Now, we are not doing the test, in part because I couldn't find any place locally that would let him sit for it. But also it's his first course, and I didn't want him to take an AP test, do poorly on it, and then not have confidence to do them in the future. It still looks good on your transcript if you can list AP course, like on the transcript, even if you don't take a test. But here's the thing. In order to call it an AP test, you have to have it approved from the College Board. It was not a difficult process once I understood how to do it. And I will leave the video that I followed, the tutorial, down below for you. And we are doing it through an online provider called CompuScholar. And because we were doing it from some place that's already been pre-approved for the AP course, it was just a matter of finding the source on the College Board's website, selecting it, and that was basically it. It was so much easier than I thought it would be. And I will, in the spring probably, do a video about more about the AP process if you're looking for that. It is not something I did with Elizabeth. And I don't really have a reason why. We just didn't do it. With Ben, obviously, I didn't, since he's not college bound. But with Matthew, we will do some. I don't know how many. I'm hoping that it doesn't take over our homeschool life, because that's a lot. But I do want to have at least one every semester for him. Again, even if we don't take the test, even if he doesn't take the test, but at least to be able to put it on there. So it was so simple when I followed the video that I will leave down link below for you. I hope that CompuScholar is going to be a good fit. I opened it. It's a monthly fee. So I purchased it so I could get it loaded for him. And it looks like it's very well laid out. We will see how it goes. And the last thing to chat about is English. So for Ben, in December, he wanted to read Christmas Carol. He felt like that would be a good December book. And in my mind, we purchased the British Literature Literary Adventures for Kids for his program for the year. If you're not familiar with it, I will leave my link below, but they call it an online book club. There's no, you're not meeting with people live. It's all self-paced. But you read a book, and then there are questions and little side trails, rabbit trails with geography and history and these kind of little things. Anyway, it was British literature. So in my mind, when he said Christmas Carol, I thought, oh, well, we'll do it through Literary Adventures for Kids, because I thought it was on there, because, I don't know, in my mind it was. And so he'd been reading it, and then he went to go catch up on the things, and he's like, I can't find it. I'm like, sigh, and I was feeling dramatic, and like, well, did you bother logging in? And did it? Not my best parenting moment, not my best homeschool mom moment. He's like, yeah, I couldn't find it. I was convinced that he was doing something wrong. Friends, it was not in our thing. So he just read Christmas Carol on his own. And then I had him write a paper comparing that with any version of Christmas Carol as a movie. He did Spirited, and honestly, he turned it in like 2 weeks ago, and I haven't read it yet. So, but anyway, that's my mom fail for him this month. As for Matthew, he finished up the Diary of Anne Frank, and I think when I did the November video, he was almost done. Maybe he'd finished it. I don't remember. Anyway, it's part of the hero's journey from Oak Meadow, and I will be doing a video about this hopefully here in January. This has been a fantastic find. I had avoided looking at Oak Meadow because I knew it was an expensive program. But at our homeschool used bookstore in Raleigh, I came across it this summer, and it was $35 for the hero's journey, which is it's supposed to be like a 9th grade level. Anyway, so I grabbed it, and Matthew was kind of hesitant about it at the beginning of the year. He didn't think it looked very good and whatever. And I said, let's just give it one book, and we'll see. Well, he loved the first book, which was The House of Scorpions. So when I saw that Anne Frank was in here, we had to skip to later in the book, but I wanted to go ahead and do it while he was doing history. It was so good. You know what? I'm almost positive I talked about this in the November update. Anyway, the book was really good. He enjoyed it. We are really, really enjoying this. However, we are going to put a pause on this for right now because we're going to switch back to doing a fish tank literature unit, and I've done a couple of videos about those. Again, I'll put all these links and videos and such down there. He wants to do fish tanks Fahrenheit 451, which I read this in college for I don't know what class I read it for. I was thinking it was like my psychology course, but I don't know. Anyway, I remember enjoying the book, but that's all I can remember. I'm a little bit nervous about it because it feels like a more difficult book. We'll see. So come January update video, I may tell you that we have ditched it. We'll see. Anyway, we're going to switch to that, and then we will come back to this. My plan all along with this has been to carry it into 10th grade. In part because I feel like doing all of this in 9th grade or in 1 year is a lot. It's fantastic, but it's a really rigorous literature. It's a literature and composition course. So it's good, but it's a lot. So my plan had been to do half of it in 9th grade and then the other half in 10th grade. That way I could space it out a little bit more, do some fish tank, back off of literature for a bit, do some extra writing, that sort of thing. Okay, so that was our December. I would love to know how your December was. Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.